Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It didn't seem
Awesome.
as bad now that I've
Well,
set
I
it
didn't
up
ever
to
hear the
stream.
voice before. I like that.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Mhm.
It startled me. Wait a minute. Okay, let me introduce you, and then we'll pretend this part didn't happen. Hi, everybody. Thank you again for joining us on Too Opinionated. So excited today to be joined by actress comedian Alice Wetterlund. So welcome, Alice.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Michael, for having me. I'm happy to be here with you.
You're like, this guy, he's already blown the introduction. What is his problem?
Yeah, he told me before we started recording, he said he did not like my work. And then he just pressed record. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Weird,
I just want
weird
you to
thing
know
to do.
I hate you. Record.
And I was like, oh, okay. Why? And he's like, hey,
This is
seems
like one of
nice.
those intervention interviews where I
Yeah,
let you know all the things that are wrong with your work.
yeah, it's intense. I kind of like it. It's different, you know?
So I have a way that I usually start these, but I have now I know I've been doing a little bit of research on you, so now I have to ask you first because you've
Okay.
done some podcasting,
But yeah.
and that yes, so you know
Hmm.
what the difficulties with doing a podcast.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about that because apparently you're a little nerdy.
Um, yeah, hey, I mean, God, I can't like I don't know where to begin with it. I mean, it's there's a Star Trek podcast that I do, and then I was on a space show. It's on People of Earth,
Yeah.
and then I was on another space show. Like I've always been a Star Trek fan, and especially the Next Generation. I love that show. Loved it ever since I was a kid. And then I was on People of Earth, and then I got this call to try out or audition for Resident Alien. And I went in, I thought the script was funny,
Yeah.
but when they hired me, I was like, you can't possibly want me for this. Like I just did a show in Canada about aliens in
Yeah.
a small town. I just did this show in another, and I was like, I just was like, I can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's insanity. And so I originally said no. Um, I said no because I just was like, I just want to branch out, you know, I don't want to keep doing this weird alien stuff. And then yeah, and then the thing that happened next was Chris Sheridan, the creator of the show, called me and
Yeah.
talked to me for a really long time. And he said that, he addressed all my concerns about like character direction, stuff like that. It's a really different character than I was playing before. So that was cool. But
Yeah.
also, he was in, so he called me from New Hampshire, and I was in New Hampshire at the time in a town called Gilmanton Iron Works, which is
Okay.
near like it has like a population of like 10 people or something. And it, and he was like, oh yeah, I used to vacation. Like, I know that area that you're
Yeah.
in right now. And I like grew up vacationing there or something. And it was just like this really weird coincidence. Um, so I kind of took that as a sign, honestly, and gave it a shot, best decision I ever made. Absolutely best show I've ever been a part of.
Such a
But
good show.
and then like the pandemic happened, started doing like I started reading sci-fi more, and then
Okay.
I started watching this show The Expanse.
Oh
And
my
now I'm
gosh.
playing this
Love
video
the
game.
Expanse.
I love The Expanse, and I started listening to the audiobook of it. And now and I started reading Octavia Butler, all her sci-fi. And then like I fucking started playing this video game, No Man's Sky, which is a open world like space exploration game. And I'm just like, it's happened. I'm a
You're full
full
on nerd
on
now.
space nerd. Like
Yeah.
air, like I know about 1G, 0G. I know all the terms. I'm like out here like right before this interview, I was up in my space portal collecting like, Walker brain warp cores and shit. Like I'm I live in space.
See,
And
I
that's just
would
where
argue that you were going about it wrong. You once you get on these kind of, sci-fi fantasy shows, you know how us nerdy guys and girls are. You can live off of that forever. You can do
Well,
conventions.
that's
That's all
true.
you have to
And
do is show up.
I think that's probably my favorite thing about it. It's just my favorite type of people. Like when I went to they re-released Next Gen on Blu-ray,
Yes.
and like the TV, there's a theater in LA that did a screening of a episode from the Blu-ray reproduction of Next Generation. For, what they ended up doing was taking the original 35 millimeter prints, reprinting them, redoing the effects, and it's just like super beautiful, high resolution.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I go and there's like me and my friend Danny and like, I don't know, 17 people in the theater watching Next Generation on the big screen. And it was just like the vibe in that room of these Star Trek fans
Yeah.
was, I'm almost going to cry. It was so warm and like so inclusive, and just like these people just are just so fuzzy and warm and full of love and goofy, and it's
Yeah.
just and it's diverse. That's the other thing about Star Trek fans, is just such a diverse, like if you go to a Star Trek convention in Vegas, it is like a space station, like every
Yeah.
kind of person you can imagine, all, non-binary, transgender, everybody, people in wheelchairs, people, like black, white, people with like, all the different races, real races on Earth, playing all the different races and it's just like, it's great. It's so fun and just a party, and it makes you feel like, oh, this could be what the Earth could be, like a party in the future, where everybody's got a different like laser
Well, it was always
mod.
it was always so far, even back to the original series, it was always so far ahead of its time.
Yeah.
As far
Yeah.
as how it portrayed people on screen. And I think that's why people love it so much.
Yeah.
Because it's very inclusive.
Yeah. So it's nice to be on a show that addresses that. And I actually take credit for a little bit of that, because like when I signed on to to Resident Alien, one of the big deals for me, like an issue for me right away, was I saw that there was a woman main character on the show who was Native American. And like, I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is the area I grew up in Minneapolis is right next to a Native community center. And so I had a lot of like Native kids as friends growing up. And like my mom, we were really active in the community there. And like, it meant a lot to me to be a part of a show like that. But it also was like, there's so many ways that we can do this wrong. And I just don't want to be a part of it. Like, I don't want to get onto a show where a bunch of executives are like, oh, like just like they don't care about the details and stuff.
Right.
The stuff that really matters if you're being represented for the first time on TV, in a long time. Hasn't been a lot of shows that have had even on basic cable, that have had Native populations or Native communities represented. So I was just like, I like this. I'm excited about it, but I also know that there's pitfalls. And to his credit, Chris Sheridan was very excited to hear from me about that. And
that's awesome.
He was just like, I want to try this. This is, I know it's a big challenge. I know it's like, there's, but, and then he did, he hired like 3 Native writers, and he worked with like, it just was like, he listened to me, he listened to Sarah Tomko, and he's just like, he's really gung-ho and he's really brave.
Yeah, that's awesome.
As a white guy, for jumping into the fray and just willing to get shit wrong and look like show his whole ass. And be called on it. And it's like, it's a cool place to work. So I've been really blessed for that, I think.
And are we getting a season 2?
Yeah, it's out
it
there.
Got announced, right? Yeah.
It's been announced. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going up in a month actually to start production.
Yeah, it has to. Oh my gosh. It's one of those shows that it's I don't know. It's just very easy to watch. It's just a good show, but it doesn't like stress you out or anything. There's some
Right.
humor in it. It's just, the characters are really engaging. It's just a good show that you can kind of sit down
Yeah.
and just forget about whatever you're worried about and just enjoy the show. I just loved it.
Yeah. We hope to be that and more. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, like you're right. I can't wait to the fans of the show already are just like
Yeah.
the greatest humanity's got. Like I love being on a sci-fi show because like they'll immediate like first season out, we have two shows released and there's already fan art,
Yeah.
like sci-fi fans are the best.
They're the
They're like, I
best.
made earrings. Like, what? You guys are crazy. They're like, here's a Harry Vanderspiegel keychain. It's like, I love these Etsy freaks.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but it's the truth. The fans are that's why I said you could stop acting, stop doing comedy right
I could
now.
start acting.
And well, you could just do conventions for the rest.
I've been phoning it in, to be honest.
I know that acting is not easy. I know. People think it's easy. It's not easy.
I think it's easy for dumb people. Like, I think it's really easy for like Tom Cruise, he hasn't got two brain cells to rub together and he's just like,
well, he's nailing it.
They're like, stand there. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, I want to stand
And you're like, I believe it.
Well, we've been convinced that he's like 6'2" his whole career.
I know. Peter Jackson wasn't even involved.
So your podcast was the one that I got to watch was Treks in the City, right? And I think, right, you were watching the Inner Light episode, right? On one of the
episodes? That was our live show. So you would have seen a video of us, doing a live show, basically recapping. It's a recap show, so we just went through season 1, episode 1, all the way to the end. We recently wrapped up, and the Inner Light was the episode we decided to do live here in Los Angeles. It was great.
Yeah, we're really good friends with Jennifer Nash, who plays Maribor in the Inner Light episode.
Wow.
So, which I know it's one of those that as a Star Trek fan, I was like, when we met, she's like, "Oh, I'm Jennifer Nash." I was like, "Really? What do you do?" It's like, "I know what you do." It's like Maribor.
Wow, that's amazing. Does she still have tie-dye clothing?
She does actually, and she's
that hat, man.
The hat, the clothing.
So funny. The hat's like, we got to protect ourselves from the sun, and the hat was like all porous. We were like, y'all need some help.
You need a lot of help. That's such a fun episode.
Planet.
The flute and the whole.
That episode has always made me insane because it's one of everybody. It's one of the canonical episodes of Star Trek, the entire Star Trek canon. But like, he at the end of it, spoiler alert. Picard's supposed to they're like, "You're the probe, dude. Like, we just put this in your mind so you could tell everybody all about us. That's the whole point.
Keep us alive.
Keep us alive, man. You're the probe." And then he gets back to the ship, and they're like, "Well, what's happening? Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I just need a nap. But don't ever ask me about what I went through. Bye."
Keeping it to myself.
No, you go open a museum.
Maybe he writes it down somewhere.
You got to do a book tour or something.
These people trusted you.
They trusted. He's like, "Okay, you can count on me." And then he gets back to the ship and he's like, "What's this dumb flute?"
Jean-Luc Picard.
Now you take a shower.
Like, come on, Jean-Luc. Have you watched the new series or the Picard?
I've watched all the new stuff they'll give me. I watched
it's pretty good. Discovery.
I love Discovery. Actually, I really loved the last season of Discovery. Was my favorite.
Too. Yeah.
And I watched Picard and Lower Decks as well.
Yeah, me too. I love that they're bringing all these back.
Me too.
Picard especially. It was so fun just seeing, a lot of the Next Generation cast.
Yeah. It's really
on the show. We went to we cover some conventions. Me and my son, as we'll do the press thing, and we're friends with Brent Spiner's assistant, and
Mm,
we badgered him
mm.
about whether or not he was making an appearance on Picard, and he would not say. He
Really?
he
That's
he would
awesome.
not nothing. He'd
I
give
guess
us
because that's their whole thing is they just like really know
yeah.
how to bait the fans and
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
and that's their
I
whole
mean,
thing. So
he was great, but he wouldn't. I tried to trick him. He wouldn't fall for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the more it can be a reveal and a surprise is the better.
Yeah,
And
it's pretty
it
neat.
was wonderful seeing Data in that. It was a great use of Data, I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope someday to be at a convention, do maybe a crossover convention,
I was gonna say, shouldn't at some
you know.
point aren't you going to guest star on one of these truck shows? You have to, don't you?
If they keep making them, and they'll run out of actors at a certain point.
Right, it'll happen. You could maybe you get to play an alien.
I actually pitched a show about Risa because
Oh,
before they had Lower Decks, I wanted to obviously do like a more comedic take, and
yeah.
I thought it'd be really great to do a show about Risa, the vacation planet,
Oh, I'd watch that.
where everybody's always going to hook up. It's like
Yeah,
it's like Vegas. It's like the Vegas of the universe.
it is.
And I thought, well, that's great, but
That's
then
always the
Lower
ones.
Decks came out and used a lot of the jokes I would have used.
Was
So
it? They did that. Yeah, I could see that. But
yeah,
they had like Picard and Riker would always be in the open robes on
yep,
vacation.
yeah, the Horgon
Yeah.
sitting around.
Ah, good.
So you're Horgon? No, go ahead, man.
Okay, all right.
Wonderful.
So I jumped way ahead. Normally, what I would start with would be to ask you, how did you get into the entertainment business? What made you want to be a comedian or be an actress?
Um,
That's probably the best answer I've ever got.
yeah.
Yeah.
First time anyone's asked me that. I'm
Yes.
just kidding. Just kidding.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
You walked right into it.
I did. Yeah, but see,
dear
I
God.
can just get the clip that I want and put that out there. So then it just be yes and then stop.
And you're telling me this in advance?
Oh yeah, that's probably
right.
bad. That's probably bad.
So
That's bad
because
form.
I really am trying to think about it. Like I've been like, because it does change over time. People say that your like memory is just like an amalgamation of ideas about what happened that your brain kind of puts together.
Right.
So if I think back, at the time I decided to start doing comedy, I was out of ideas. Like I'm a real I'm an only child, and I'm really like I'm one of those people who suffers from like extreme egotism, and I really believe that I'm like swear to God, I was like I was supposed to be something, and moved to New York, and it was just like went to art school. I was little fish, big pond syndrome, and then nothing really ever stuck. I was like, I guess I'm not a famous artist. So having done no work to become a famous artist, like, by the way, like I was just like, when are people going to see this?
Yeah.
Get a load of this.
I'm here.
I mean, like, what's this? It's smart. I made smart. How about that? $1 million, just like so lazy. But I was kind of in a midlife crisis at age 28, and my friend was sort of goofing around, and he was like, we should take an improv class. And so he kept not doing it. He kept being like, I can't. And finally I just was like, I'm just going to do it. I don't know what the fuck. Excuse me. I don't know if I can swear. I don't know what prompted me to do it, but I have to imagine it was some sort of universe.
You were meant to do something.
I did it. And it was just like that improv class, first improv class I took. It was like a revelation in my brain. I was like, oh, this is something that I actually am good at, and I actually enjoy it. And it doesn't have to be, it's just something, my brain was just on fire, and then I started doing stand-up, and it was the same thing. I was just like, it was just like the kind of thing where your brain starts attacking something. and it's just, you can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I hadn't had that, I'd been in art school and I would watch people just like in their studios, like in their dumb studios with their like graphite or their sculptures, just hours, just, I can't stop thinking about this work of art. And I would just be like, really, you can't stop doing the work? Huh. That's wow. Because I like not doing it. My favorite is drugs and partying. And then when I started comedy, I was like, oh my God, this is what that's like. And so that's kind of what started it. But I before that, I had no idea. I had no idea that improv or stand-up or acting or any of that was an option for me. It didn't occur to me.
Well, what did you do through high school? Were you
in high school?
anything?
I was in theater in high school. Early in high school and junior high, actually, I did theater, and I thought I was really good at it. I thought it was interesting, and then not comedy, but acting and stage acting, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I went to this special, like, high school called South High. Josh Hartnett, anybody went there? And it was like a really good theater program. I went there specifically to do theater, and I tried out for 2 years. I tried out for every play. I never even got one callback one time.
Nice.
And I was like, this is so weird. Like, I just was like, this must not, either I'm not as good as I thought, or these people are idiots and I hate them all. And I was leaning towards the second one, So I was just like, I'm gonna start drawing. I'm a goth or whatever. And I got into visual arts and fine arts at that point, and I never looked back. Just was like, theater's not for me. I don't like those people.
Do you go back now? Do you like send them Christmas cards or anything? Be like,
No, because it's like,
let them know.
You know what I think is, like, I think about that and I'm like, yeah, fuck them, because a little bit, but I'm like, I know who I was. There must have been a reason. They must have seen me and gone like, oh, she's pretty, there must, like, we don't want to deal with that. So I get it.
What was the first time that you did stand up? What was that like?
I did an open mic in a now defunct stand-up club called Comics. They had a downstairs, like,
how soon after
room.
you did the open mic did they go defunct?
They just folded. They were like, what's the point?
Yeah,
she's changed the art form as we know it. I don't remember when it closed, but it was before the pandemic. It was much long before that, but it was a open mic that was, like, I guess gonna get canceled because there was only 5 people there and no other comics trying to get on stage. And my friend Sean, who he's still a good friend, he writes for Rick and Morty now.
nice.
He is he's a stand-up, and I was so like excited, and it's when your friend's first time to do, he was just like, maybe we can like do another, he's on his phone like frantically trying to find another spot to go, and then somebody was just like, we'll just do a set, it'll be fine. And there's so much excitement in the room because it was such a weird novelty that the 5 people were just only seeing me do 5 minutes, that I killed. Like, they were just like, yay, this is so fun. And I was like, see, I'm a natural, it's great. And then I bombed for 6 months solid, like not getting a single laugh, but I was addicted, so didn't matter.
How does it, okay, so how does that work? Like, did you have like a tight set up before you went on stage, or did you just go up there and wing?
Yeah, I wrote out, I watched some stand-up that I liked, and my friend helped me like think of jokes, and he just like got this, it's like he was my shepherd to get me into the world of stand-up, and I just watched a whole bunch of stuff, and I just kind of like wrote some jokes and bits that were pure speculation, but it wasn't a tight 5. It was just like ideas for bits, but I was very good at that point at public speaking,
Right.
I wasn't like, that wasn't too bad. But over the course of my first year, it was getting a good 5 minutes and figuring out kind of my voice, which I'm still figuring out.
So are you Like, do you engage with hecklers or do you ignore them?
Now it's more fun to engage with them
Yeah.
usually.
Yeah.
I guess there's like different kinds of hecklers, because like if someone's heckling, usually that means they're drunk and they're just disrupting, and usually the whole audience is distracted by them. So it's not just like unless they're like right in front of you and nobody else can hear them.
Yeah, because the
there's,
audience
like,
kind of they police it a little bit for you.
they do, or they won't say, they're too polite and they don't know what to do, so they don't say anything. And then when you finally do, they're like, "Thank you," and they, they're, so it's better to try to, you kind of start out trying to be polite, and then if they get really combative, you either suss out, you're like, are they really drunk, or are they like,
or just an asshole?
Or they're just an asshole. If they're just an asshole, then I'm like, fine, we'll do this. You want to fucking go? I'll go. But if they're just really drunk, there's no point, because they won't remember what happened 5 seconds ago. So it's like, not like you can be like, "Ha, burn." They'll be like, "Hi." They're like, "Hello, I'm also here." You're like, okay.
You don't just invite them up on stage. I think that would be funny.
I don't do that because I'm a woman, and like I've done that before. The only time I ever did that, I was like, "Come up on stage," and he just went right for me. He just hands, and I was just like, "Okay, so it's gonna be hands."
Right. Yeah, never again.
And I was like, "All right, my stage is my space.
That's your space. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
I'll go into the audience, but."
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So I watched your stand-up special on Amazon.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was. Oh my gosh, some parts of it had me rolling. The whole thing was excellent, but the Batman kind of being a jerk because he's just beating up the mentally ill, and I was dying.
It's true, because and I recently watched the Tim Burton Batman, and there's just those guys who are like, "You want to try to get some food for tonight," or something like that, and he's like, "Ah!" Jesus Christ.
When you say it that way, it's like, yeah, he was overreacting.
Like, "Hope we can find a warm place to stay tonight," and he's like, "Don't think so."
Yeah, he's cleaning up the city.
Excuse me? Okay.
Yeah, that was excellent. I was like,
Thank
that
you.
was fun. Yeah, it was really good. And to this was my fault, but it wasn't that long ago when I found out that you actually did stand up. I'd only seen you as an actress, so I found you in stand up, and I was like, well, of course she does stand up. She's hilarious.
That's kind of interesting. I don't know that there's a ton of actors there's not a lot of us really that do both things, kind of like, I honestly, off the top of my head, there's just not that many who do, like, I'm a series regular on a show, and then you also go see, I don't know, it's not that normal. So, so it's nice because sometimes people I can have like 2 fan groups and neither of them are big enough to bother me too much. But,
you mean they're not?
I can still sell at a club every once in a while.
Podcast, anything?
Yeah.
Like that?
I wish that my wish is for Resident Alien fans to become fans of my stand-up, so that I can, because that is just, again, more fun crowd, the better. The more cool sci-fi people are in your audience, the more fun you can have on stage.
No, they need to find it. It was
yeah.
I wrote it down. My mama is a human, so am I. That's the name of it. Hilarious.
Yeah, and there is a space. There's a little, if you're a Resident Alien fan, you have to look at the picture on the drum kit. It was the thing I designed 2 years before I was in Resident Alien. So just look at that and know that the graphic on the drum kit was made by me 2 years before Resident Alien. Yeah. So that's, if you want to have your mind blown.
Easter egg.
Yeah. Planted by my psyche.
2 years ahead of time.
Yeah.
See, you knew inside, you knew you were meant for sci-fi. You just hadn't accepted.
Yeah. Well, it's what it is. It's an alien head with a big cowboy hat on the top of his head. And somebody pointed this out to me, like in the episode of, like episode 5 or something like that, when you flash back to Harry, I don't know if you've seen his episode yet, but when he kind of first lands and he's wandering around, and he like scares this guy off his horse, and he ends up like wearing the hat. And then there's a scene where he's just like facing the camera with the hat on, and it's a fucking mirror image of what's on my drum kit.
That's hilarious.
And
yeah, see, now I have to go back and watch.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And find it. I have to. Yeah, the interaction that he has with the little boy, especially early on, where he's constantly threatening the little boy, hilarious.
It's really good. Yeah, that that little boy we call him Liza Minnelli, because he's just like, he's got these big like dreamy eyes, and he's always like, oh, okay, like he's just, I love him.
Yeah,
working with kids is always hit or miss, so you're always like, oh. But one of my favorite things is like the two kids on our show, both their parents are like very cool people. So it's like another aspect, because when you're working with little kids, you're working with their parents too, you got
and they're not always the best.
About. Yeah, and they're just great, down to earth,
that's awesome.
Normal parents. So
yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I think, now if I'm wrong, then forgive me, but I think I saw you on an episode of Glow. Is that right?
Yes.
I did, right?
You did. I was,
because it'd been a little while since I watched.
Most of my scene got cut out, which was really funny, because it was like I was still on the episode, but it was basically like me walking in the background, like, hi.
Well, that's why I couldn't remember, but I was like, I'm pretty sure. And I was trying to, like, today, I was like, I don't remember much about that scene.
Yeah. Well, still got paid, so.
No, that's right.
I lift weights. Like, so I'm trying to be like, I should be on Glow, I lift weights and shit. But it's just, that's me. Like, I just think I should be on everything. That's right. I like boats. Put me on to Master and Commander. They're like, oh, they already shot that.
Well, you got to do Single Parents. I saw you on that one. Mm-hmm. The episode on that, you were great. There was another, Space Force. I saw you on Space Force.
Yes. Yeah. Again. Hello.
Yeah. So is that coming back for a season 2?
I don't know, actually.
I haven't heard anything.
Well, I'm not like really involved, because I'm not a series regular on that show. So
no, but technically you're still out there.
Technically I'm still out there.
They could bring you back.
Yeah. That was one of the more fun days I've ever had.
If the fans demand it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it had to be fun, because what a cast to work with.
Yeah. God. I mean, yeah, it was incredible. It was really, really, really wonderful.
Yeah. You've got to be on a lot of different shows that just had really terrific, like, ensemble casts. Like People Earth was loaded. Just with fun people.
So insane.
That show was crazy.
Oh my God. That show was, we had one of the things about that show, speaking of ensembles, now I'm on another ensemble show now, and I love my cast, but we don't have a ton of group scenes. Very rarely, in fact, for instance, like, I don't get to do a lot of scenes with Meredith Garrettson, the woman who plays Kate. She's a good friend of mine. But we don't have very many scenes together. And if I have a scene, it's usually with Harry or with Asta, maybe both of them at once. But on People of Earth, every scene we had was with all 7 of us every time.
It's a therapy session, every scene.
We'd have we'd be up at 4, just me, Nancy Lenahan, Brian Husky, Anna Gasteyer, Oscar Nunez, and Luca Jones, Tracy Chimo, like, all sitting, and then Wyatt will come in and be like, we're almost done. It's just like, it was so crazy. It was just like we were going out of our minds and like making each other laugh. And yeah, it was a total blast.
It's such a weird show, because, you expect, like, when the premise came out, you were assuming it was this group of crazy people that thought they were seeing aliens, but there was actually aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tons of aliens for real. Yeah.
Yeah. We were disappointed when that one stopped, because we love that one. We watched that.
I know, but the lizard executive character from People of Earth, Michael Cassidy, is now a character. He has an arc on So we're slowly trying to bring.
That's right. Oh, he did. That's right. He was the the doctor, right?
He's Dr. Ethan.
Yeah. Didn't your character have a little thing with him?
Yeah. He was written as the foil to Harry, sort of like the new doctor that's coming in and stealing.
I can't believe I didn't recognize him. But now that you said it, like I was like, well, how did I not know that? It's obvious that was him. Yeah, he was really good.
Yeah, he's wonderful. He's a good friend of Chris Sheridan. So Chris was like so excited. He's like, we're gonna bring the band back together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And then of course the other show you're known for was Silicon Valley, and you were like the nerdy computer girl.
Yeah.
On that one, but you had a little edge to you, which I thought was hilarious. That was fun.
Right, quite an edge. And the best thing about that show for me, it opened a lot of doors, but also my character, Carla, I found out after the first season was based on a person, like really written based on a human that existed that was an early consultant, like an early script consultant from Silicon Valley. This woman named Colleen, who is a video coder. She currently works for Facebook, but actually she's transitioned out. She's a lot like the character on Lower Decks. She's capable of anything. In fact, some of the script ideas for Silicon Valley were ideas that she was batting around, like one of the like video coding ideas. And like it's both streaming. I don't totally understand it, but it's both streaming video and storing it and then restreaming it, and like how that technology works. So one of the ideas in the script that was like put in just as a script element, she was like, that's a good idea. And then she just built it. Like she could just build computers.
That makes me like that character so much more.
Yeah. Her house is like all vaults of like patches and wires and then just some guns. She's so amazing. She's like,
just some guns. Yeah. Well, you have to protect the wires.
Well, she's really into like she just likes tech, so she really loves like laser scopes and things like that. She's just like.
Well, the house in Silicon Valley was kind of like that. It had not the guns, but all the wires.
Yeah, but hers looks like a spaceship. It's all like all the lights are above like white panels, and they just like. She's incredible. So now I get to be friends with this like real life tech superhero because of that show. And it was so it's just like, so we have this funny friendship now. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's a great friendship. Yeah. Can you actually imitate her, or did you do it completely?
I did it completely without knowing her at all. But now that I realize what she's like, I'm like, oh, I understand why they wanted me to go in that direction. It's very dry. It's very like, that's not how it works, right? No, seriously, it's not how it works, right? Okay.
Yeah, she was by far our favorite character on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because
she needed the spinoff.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. So I wanted to ask you, and this a little more serious, but I know you had your issues on Silicon Valley at the time.
I have to go in about 10 minutes.
Okay, we'll wrap up.
Another thing at 4. Is that okay? Okay.
Oh yeah, of course. I wouldn't keep you. This is where.
You say that, but then it's a good time.
Well, is it though? Is it?
No.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I don't know. That's not for me to say.
No, you're good. You're good at your job. You know it.
No, I don't know it. I need the validation. Sadly, yes. Thank you. I can't believe you're going to go to. I hope it's not another podcast. I just.
No, it's actually a Zoom meeting with my uncle.
Oh, all right. That's awesome, actually. So okay, so just my quick serious question. So I know you had a few issues there on Silicon Valley, and you're kind of a self-proclaimed feminist. So my question is, over the last few years, have you seen a change in Hollywood, the entertainment industry, and is it a positive change?
I think things just kind of are undulating. You know, it comes in waves. Things get better, things get a little worse. And I would say for me, things have gotten better, but that's just because I think I am less naive.
Yeah.
And more aware of kind of who to call, who to talk to.
Right.
But I don't know that it's better for everybody. And that's why I'm still vocal about it. And that's why I stay on my toes and I try to speak up for people that maybe don't have as much of a voice. Because the other thing that can happen is that a lot of times women, especially this happens to women and LGBTQ people, and minorities will speak up on their own behalf and just be seen as pains in the asses. It just happens so often. People are just seen. I've heard people talk about, you know, like friends of mine of color and just like, oh, they're just, you know, like I hear the grapevine, oh, they're tough to work with. They're tough to work with. Well, you come to find out somebody was making it real tough for them to work.
Yeah.
And it happens so often. It's just like the person always gets blamed. So I really try to stay loud about it now that I'm in a position where I'm not, you know, getting fired. And I'm on a show now. I'm on a show now where I'm seen as a leader and I'm respected.
You've got a voice.
100% and given credibility 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And so, and that show is run by white guys. Like the guys at the top are white cis straight dudes. So it's like, I know it can happen.
Yeah.
I know it's possible. So
one thing that I think that Resident Alien does really good is a lot of shows are, I guess they're trying, but the attempt at what they're, you know, trying to be inclusive and trying to change some of the storylines for women and minorities, it seems forced. Like it's obvious what they're
like
trying
they
to
got
do.
in trouble, so they're filling in.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's what Silicon Valley was, and that's why it didn't work out.
Yeah,
it was like them reluctantly responding to criticism, and then when they responded to it, all the people from before were mad, and then it's just, you know, it. And I was in the middle, and I was like, "Hi guys," and everybody was like, "Fuck you."
That's what I like about Resident Alien, because they're doing some of that, and it just seems normal. You're just like, yeah.
I think it's also helpful to have an IP. You know, to be honest, like Resident Alien has an existing, really cool comic book that it's based on, where there's, you know, my character isn't actually part of it, but there's like, you at least have something to like lean on in terms of where these characters are going and how real they are. So you don't have to just be like, yeah, this person's a Native American because they like to be from the earth. You know, you have to make it up. It's already there.
Have you read the comic? No. See, I don't know if you can tell I'm nerdy, but I put myself.
That's a nerd question to ask.
Yeah, I know. Like back in the 90s, I was a comic store owner. That's what I did to put myself in
You
college.
were an owner? I used to spend so much time in comic book stores when I was
oh my gosh, you would have been a unicorn back in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's changed for so much better now, but back then there were I mean, it was pretty rare.
That's me. I mean, I've always been the person who is like, if I see a room that's only dudes, I will walk in and I'll be like, what's going on here? Because I see an unequal situation where no women are apparently allowed. And then somebody's like, this is the men's room. And I'm like, point taken. Just to let you know, I've got my eye on you. Like I
leaving. But I will remember this.
I will keep my eyes up here and let you know.
This is outrageous.
So
all right. So Alice, I'll let you go since you're, you know, very discreetly giving me the hook, the time hook. Like, son of a bitch, let's go.
But it was very nice talking to you, Michael.
Well, it's so nice talking to you. I hope you'll come back at some point.
Thank you. I will.
Have to do a part 2, you know, and do I don't know what we talk about next, but we'll come up with something.
Yeah.
We'll break down a Star Trek episode, one of the new ones, you know, one you haven't done yet.
Oh, I would love to.
Yeah, we'll do that. So before you go, is there anything that we haven't touched on that you have upcoming that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Yeah, I am. It's like I thought of it before, but I can't remember. It's too bad.
I'd help you, but I would have touched on it if I knew.
Yeah, man. No, just like watch out. I mean, I'll promote whatever it is on my Instagram, so please follow me there on Instagram and on Twitter.
You were very easy to find. I found you pretty. You know, sometimes people they have like, you know, like MeisterCon where you're like, I can't find this guy anymore.
Right.
Yeah, yours.
Yeah, I know. I got in. I'm an early adopter, so.
Where can we find you on social media?
It's just at Alice Wetterlund.
Yeah. Yeah.
No
pretty
spaces,
simple.
no dots.
Yeah. So you were early, or else.
I was.
Well, I don't know.
I was in the first. Yeah.
Is there a lot of
Twitter in
Wetterlunds
2005 or something?
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I got on Facebook early because at the time I was working for Ticketmaster, and they were actually doing customer service for Facebook and made us, like when it first came out, we had to make an account. So I was on. That's the only reason I was on there early.
I'm glad I know that.
Okay, yeah.
I'm glad I know that.
Well, that's why I had this podcast. Just I wanted to let people know that.
It's true. You got it.
Now we've gone full circle.
Yeah, spread it around.
Yeah. Thank you. Say hi.
Thanks so much for having me. All right. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye, Alice. See you later. All right. So that was the quickly gone. Boy, she was fast getting off of here. I don't know how to take that. That was the talented and funny and just terrific Alice Wetterlund. So I hope you enjoyed that. And as usual, you know, I tend to go. I guess I don't pick up on social cues. I just talk until they're ready to go. No, she was great, and I really enjoyed speaking with her. And she's great on every show that I've ever seen her in. However big or small the role is, she's really good. If you haven't seen her on Resident Alien, definitely check that out. She's so funny. Her special, again, My Mama is a Human, and So Am I. It's on Amazon. Hilarious. It's really, really good. So check that out. Thank you guys for hanging in there with me again this week. You know, it amazes me that you, with so many things out there to watch, that you keep coming back and watching and subscribing and listening to the show. Really appreciate that. Definitely don't take that for granted. If you haven't done so, we'd really appreciate it if you'd find us on YouTube under MeisterCon Pod. Give us that subscription. It really help us out. And you can also check out our website, meistercon.com, where we have all 250 or so episodes up. There's so many great people that we've been lucky enough to talk to, so many good conversations, audio and video. So you can check that out on meistercon.com. There's a terrific blog from Brett. He's such a talented writer. You can check that out. And then anything that we have upcoming as far as shows or conventions, anything will be on there as well. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you to Alice, who, again, so fast. She was probably the fastest person to get off here, because usually what happens is, you know, you stumble around a little bit looking for the key to get out of the Zoom. And it's that awkward few seconds, you know, while the other person is just waiting for you to leave. Not with her. She was ready, gone. Alice was the best. Okay. Thank you guys. And until next time, bye everybody.